Okay, y'all. I just got done watching the movie Dune Part 2, which is great. It's a great movie. Highly recommend it. It met the everyone was talking about how good it was, and it met the expectations that everyone had. And maybe I'll do a review sometime soon. But right now, I want to talk about what it really made me reflect on, and that's the issue of looking for Muad'Dib. In the movie, Muad'Dib is the savior name that Paul Atreides assumes for himself. There's a couple other names too, Usul, and I can't remember they had some name for the Messiah who's supposedly going to come and save them. If you've read the book Dune, you know that the whole issue of Paul Atreides as Muad'Dib, as the Kwisatz Haderach, if I'm saying that right, meaning the shortening of the way, the notion of Paul becoming the savior figure to the Fremen people is complicated because it's in a way it's contrived. In a way, it's something that was put on that was the scheming females, the scheming female order known as the Bene Gesserit, who are always looking to supposedly engineer or architect things to their advantage. They sort of set things in motion with their mind control and their propaganda, and with the notion that Paul might be this kind of might play this kind of role. So in a way, Paul Atreides ends up getting used by the Bene Gesserit to become this Messiah figure who then, after he transforms into the Messiah, becomes a significantly more complicated character, more complicated hero. If I still think it's fair to call him a hero, but he's definitely a hero who has a dark side. Now, one thing I will say about the movie is I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I liked Timothée Chalamet in the first movie, Dune Part 1. I liked his boyishness, and I just generally enjoyed his performance. I thought he was quite likable. In this movie, he transforms into a grade A badass. And you don't think of Timothée Chalamet. When you think of Timothée Chalamet, you don't think badass. You think pretty boy and whatever. But he pulls it off. It's a great performance. It's part of what makes the movie so good. The first thing that it makes me reflect on is, where is our Muad'Dib? Should we look for a Muad'Dib? I know it's very easy to say we shouldn't look for a savior. We should, that's the sort of cynicism of our day, was that savior figure, and it's shared by the book and the movie, really, in some ways. Although I think we can also enjoy Paul's transformation. I certainly did. We also can see it as problematic. I hate that word, but I can't think of a better word to use. Just because it's an artificial construct, and so he's not really so much a Messiah as he is somebody who's been genetically engineered in various ways to become this kind of figure. But there's all sorts of complicated stuff involving the spice, and the sandworms and stuff. Dune lore is very complicated, as I've talked about before in a previous video. But uh, I think there's a genuine need for a savior figure, and it's like it's not just from weak-minded people. It's sort of that's the whole cynical take on it, or the whole I don't know, too cool for school sort of take on people who ache for the savior to come. They say just things like, "Oh well, the savior," like it's said by a couple of characters in the more cynical characters in the movie. Oh, savior is just something that they just tell you to expect a savior in order to keep you down, and then you should be your own savior and do your own, not wait for a savior, but do your own thing, take your own action. Well, yeah, I think you should be proactive, no doubt about that. But I do think we have a genuine need for a savior figure. It stirs something up in you if you let yourself feel it. And maybe some people don't want to let themselves feel it. The same way a lot of people don't want to let themselves feel what it's like to be in love these days. Especially, MGTOW guys and cynical men, red-pilled men. And probably also on the women's side. This is an age of disenchantment with romantic love. But romantic love is a very real thing, and it's something that it's. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it's not something that should just be dismissed either. It's very, very real. I can say that having it's been a week since my mother's death, and my parents loved each other very much. They got married in 1965, and they were together, for the duration. They were together until until one of them died first, which was my mother. For them, it was very, very real. That's not to say they never had problems or that they didn't have issues, but I think that just like romantic love is something that shouldn't just be sniffed at or waved away. That's the thing. It's like there's the politically incorrect people, like the MGTOWs and the red pill guys who dismiss romantic love. But then it's also politically correct. It's also woke to be we don't, girl, you can do it on your own. Oh, it's good that we have a movie now where the heroine, there's no love interest for her anymore. Like that actress was saying about the new Snow White. She doesn't need a prince to save her. It's like it's you think you're being anti-woke when you take a stand against romantic love, but then you realize that the woke people hate romantic love too. So same kind of with this whole savior thing. In the movie and the book, makes us feel the what should I call it? Just this the rapturous feeling, literally rapturous. I guess that's what brings the rapture. given that the how the rapture supposedly comes about. But I mean, when you think of a savior coming, for unto us a child is given, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Ever-Loving God, the Prince of Peace, all that stuff. Um, the whole notion of a savior, the whole notion of uh, a messiah, even if it's a false messiah, even if it's uh, a messiah who's been artificially constructed in some ways through genetic engineering and uh, propaganda and so forth, it still fills some need in us, just like it filled that need in the Fremen in the movie. Uh, it made it's what makes the story of Dune so much more powerful, is the fact that Paul Atreides does become Muad'Dib. He does become uh, this Messiah figure who leads his people, his adopted people, uh, out of their imprisonment, out of their captivity, and vanquishes their enemies and his own enemies. Vanquishes the people who murdered his father and so many of his friends and family. So that's something that I think needs to be considered. There needs to be more thought and attention given to that perspective. It's way too easy to just be cynical and like just think you're too cool for school and just say just badmouth Messiah, the whole idea of a Messiah, and badmouth people who are wanting a Messiah to come. I think if you're honest with yourself, you know that it's a part of us. A part of us wants, needs, desires, craves someone like that, a savior figure. And luckily, we have one. But it's not Paul Atreides. Anyway, let me know your thoughts below, and thanks for watching.